Jace had never expected the quiet life on the research station to be so peaceful, yet so lonely. The station hovered above the pale blue planet of Kelara, its metal frame reflecting the light of the nearby sun. Jace spent most of his time repairing machinery, monitoring sensors, and occasionally tinkering with small experimental devices he had designed himself. It was a life far removed from the bustling cities of Earth, but it suited him. The solitude gave him time to think, to plan, and to enjoy the calm hum of the station. That calm was broken one evening. He was in his small quarters, adjusting the calibration on a prototype energy converter, when he heard a soft click behind him. Turning, he froze. There in the doorway stood a figure unlike anything he had ever seen. She was humanoid in shape, but her skin shimmered faintly, like liquid silver reflecting the dim lights of the room. Her eyes were larger than a human's, deep and glowing with a warm amber hue. She did not wear any clothing, yet there was no sense of threat or malice in her stance. Instead, she smiled. It was a confident, knowing smile that seemed to fill the room with energy. "Do not be afraid," she said, though the sound came not from her lips but directly into Jace's mind. The telepathic voice was smooth, calm, and strangely reassuring. Jace stumbled backward, knocking over a small toolbox. The tools clattered across the floor. Who are you?" he stammered, trying to regain his composure. "I am Liara of the Leora," she replied, stepping further into the room. "I have come to claim your bed." Jace's mind raced. His bed, how could she? He opened his mouth to protest, but the words caught in his throat. He could not deny the authority in her voice, the certainty in her eyes. Something about her presence demanded attention, respect, and perhaps even compliance. "Your bed," he finally managed to say. "Yes," she said simply. "In my culture, this is how we form trust. To sit, rest, and discuss strategy on the bed is to show respect and openness. It is not what your mind assumes. You may resist, but it is easier if you accept." Jace blinked. His mind scrambled to process her words. He had heard of the Leora through the colony's communications, a species that had recently begun exploring the outer rim of human-colonized space. Their appearance was alien, their customs strange, but they were not known to be violent. Still, the idea of a stranger, especially one who seemed to disregard human norms entirely, claiming his personal space, was unsettling. Okay," he said cautiously, finally nodding. I understand." Liara's smile widened not in triumph but in relief. She floated gracefully to the edge of his bed and sat down. The shimmer around her seemed to pulse softly, filling the room with a warm glow. Jace watched, both fascinated and unnerved, as she closed her eyes and projected a holographic star map above the bed. Streams of colored light spread across the room, outlining nearby star systems, potential trade routes, and unknown planets. "I came because your people are at a crossroads," she said, her voice calm and deliberate in his mind. "Humanity has potential, but it is untested in the wider galaxy. I need to observe, to understand, to guide. And you, Jace, are part of that process." Jace swallowed hard. "Guide me? How? I'm just an engineer. I fix machines, not navigate the politics of the galaxy," she finished for him. "No, not yet. But the first step in understanding is cooperation. I am here to learn about your species, and you may learn about mine. Our meeting is not random. Your choices will have consequences far beyond this station." He took a cautious step closer, glancing at the holographic display. The star systems looked alive, as if pulsing with energy. Colored lines connected planets, trade routes, and unknown zones. This is amazing," he said softly. You're showing me all of this." Liara nodded. "Yes, you humans are clever. Your resilience is unusual. That is why I am here. I have observed your colonies from orbit, studied your communication networks, and watched how you adapt. I seek an ally, not a servant, and perhaps you seek answers as well." Jace ran a hand through his hair, still unsure how to process this. He had spent years isolated, fixing equipment, watching the stars from a distance. Now a being from another world, one who defied human expectations in every way, had entered his quarters, claimed his bed, and introduced him to knowledge he had never imagined. It was overwhelming. "Why me?" he asked finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "You are logical, curious, and unafraid of the unknown," she replied. "These qualities make you suitable. I do not seek everyone, only those who can think beyond fear, beyond ego, beyond human habit. You are one of the few I have found." He hesitated, then nodded slowly. "All right, I can try. I want to understand." A soft hum filled the room, and Liara's form shimmered slightly as if acknowledging his decision. "Good," she said. "Then let us begin." Over the next few hours, she guided him through simulations of interstellar strategy, alien technology, and philosophical thought experiments. Jace learned to operate her holographic interface, manipulating star maps and energy fields with his hands. She explained alien concepts that seemed impossible at first. Energy currents that flowed between planets, communication networks that span light years, and survival strategies for species far more advanced than humans. He marveled at her knowledge, but also at the patience she showed him. There was no arrogance, no condescension, only a quiet confidence that made him feel capable. Slowly, he realized that the bed she had claimed was no longer a threat, but a tool, a platform for learning, for connection, for trust. "You humans fear what you do not understand," she said, as he manipulated a holographic model of a star system. "You assume threat where there is none, but fear can be overcome with knowledge. That is why I am here. Knowledge first, trust second, action last." Jace nodded. I think I understand, at least a little," she smiled. "Then we are ready for the next step, but first, rest. Even the curious mind needs sleep to absorb knowledge." He hesitated. "Sleep here?" "Yes," she said simply, tilting her head. "Do not fear, my presence will not harm you. Your dreams may even help me understand your species further." Jace swallowed, then reluctantly climbed into his bed. Liara floated beside him, her energy aura casting gentle light across the room. He felt an odd sense of calm, a sense that, despite everything, he was exactly where he was meant to be. As he drifted toward sleep, he realized something extraordinary. In his life of solitude, he had never expected this. An alien being claiming his bed not as a conquest, but as an invitation. And yet, in her confidence and presence, he felt more alive, more challenged, and more curious than ever before. He fell asleep thinking of distant stars, of alien technology, and of a future where humans were no longer alone in the galaxy. And somewhere in the quiet hum of the station, Liara watched over him, confident in her choice and hopeful for the bond they were beginning to form. The first encounter had passed, but Jace knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, the Liara were patient, and his life, once quiet, once lonely, was about to change forever. And as sleep claimed him, he dreamed not of fear, but of possibility. The next morning, Jace woke to the soft hum of the station and a faint glow of alien light spreading across his quarters. Liara was still there, hovering above the bed, her amber eyes open and studying him with quiet intensity. Jace blinked and sat up, rubbing his eyes, trying to shake off the remnants of sleep. The previous night's events still felt surreal, yet the calm aura around Liara made him feel that this was normal, at least in some strange sense he could not yet explain. "Good morning," she said, her telepathic voice gentle. "You slept well." I think so," Jace replied, glancing at the holographic star maps floating in the air. They had shifted slightly from yesterday, showing new energy flows and paths between distant systems. What are you doing now?" "I am observing," she said simply. Learning is continuous. Humans often underestimate how much the mind can absorb when the body rests. Now we begin the day's exercises." Jace groaned softly, but felt a strange excitement building in his chest. Exercises with her were not physical drills. They were mental, tactical, and sometimes philosophical. Today, Liara wanted to test his ability to solve problems under pressure, using the station as their simulation ground. "You will face scenarios," she explained, "where human decisions and alien possibilities intersect. Your goal is not to win, but to understand consequences." Jace nodded, feeling a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. He followed her instructions, moving from one station module to another, adjusting systems, monitoring energy flows, and predicting outcomes. Liara guided him patiently, offering insight when he stumbled, sometimes nudging him telepathically to consider a perspective he would not have thought of himself. Hours passed in this strange collaboration. Jace noticed that the station seemed alive in a way it never had before. Sensors that once blinked silently now pulsed with information he could interpret. Systems that had seemed complicated revealed patterns, as if the Liara's presence illuminated hidden logic. And all the while, Liara remained near him, not interfering unless necessary, watching, observing, and sharing her knowledge in subtle ways. "You humans rely too heavily on tools," she said at one point, her telepathic voice soft but firm. You forget that understanding, observation, and intuition are more powerful than any machine you create. Look at this flow of energy. What do you notice? Jace studied the holographic display, tracing the glowing streams that connected different systems in the station. It's unstable in this section, he said slowly. If we divert too much power here, it could overload the network, but if we balance it there, it stabilizes everything. She tilted her head, smiling faintly. Exactly. You are learning. Humans are adaptable. That is why we watch you. Your species has creativity even in constrained systems. You find solutions we might not anticipate. Jace felt a thrill at her words. He had always prided himself on problem-solving, but to be recognized by an alien being of advanced intelligence was different. It made him feel important. Not in the human sense of status or reward, but in the sense of purpose, as if his actions truly mattered on a larger scale. The day's exercises continued, but tension began to build as a sudden alert sounded through the station. A small external module had suffered a breach, a crack in the hull that allowed vacuum exposure. Jace froze, staring at the blinking warning lights. "Stay calm," Liara said, floating beside him. "This is why we train, observe, assess, act. Do you understand?" He swallowed hard and nodded. "Yes, I understand." They rushed to the module together. Jace coordinated the human systems, sealing compartments and redirecting energy to maintain pressure. Liara's presence guided him, her aura stabilizing delicate systems and helping him predict how structural stress would spread. It was teamwork in its purest form, human ingenuity combined with alien perception. As they worked, Jace noticed how differently Liara approached problems. She did not rush or panic. Every movement and thought was calculated, precise, and calm. He realized that her confidence was contagious. For the first time in his life, he felt completely in sync with another being, even though they were of completely different species. The breach was stabilized after tense minutes that felt like hours. Jace exhaled, shaking slightly from adrenaline. We did it," he said, almost in disbelief. Liara nodded, her amber eyes glowing softly. "Yes, your species has resilience, courage, adaptability. You performed well under pressure, and that is why you are important. Not just to me, but to the future of your species in the galaxy." Jace felt a warmth spreading through him. He had never imagined that his quiet, isolated life could have such significance. And yet, standing next to Liara, seeing the station secure, he understood that small actions could ripple outward in ways he could never predict. After the crisis, they returned to his quarters. Liara settled again on the bed, not for comfort, but as a center for analysis. Holographic displays appeared once more, showing new energy patterns, potential hazards, and systems on distant colonies. "You see," she said, "every choice has consequence. Every action, no matter how small, can influence systems far beyond your immediate perception. Humans often act without seeing the ripple. That is why learning to observe and anticipate is valuable." Jace nodded, absorbing every word. He felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The day had been intense, challenging, and yet profoundly educational. As evening approached, Liara spoke again, her voice calm but carrying a note of curiosity. "You have questions, I can sense them. Ask." Jace hesitated, then said, Why did you come to me specifically? There are others on the station. Why me?" Her amber eyes met his, glowing softly. "Because you are willing to see beyond fear. You accept that the unknown is not always threat. You act, yet observe. You can cooperate with those unlike you. That is rare among humans." He swallowed, feeling a sense of humility. I want to understand more about your people, about the galaxy, about what humans can do." Liara smiled faintly. "Good. Curiosity is the first step, courage the second. Understanding comes last, but it is the most valuable." Over the next days, their partnership deepened. Jace learned to anticipate Liara's thoughts, while she adapted to human methods of problem-solving. Together, they tested systems, simulated interstellar scenarios, and devised strategies that combined human adaptability with Liara precision. Humor crept in occasionally as Jace made small mistakes, and Liara corrected them gently, her glowing form sometimes flickering with what he interpreted as amusement. It was during one of these sessions that a new alert came. Sensors detected an unidentified vessel approaching the station. Jace's heart raced. He had never dealt with alien ships in such proximity. Liara's aura pulsed calmly. "Do not fear," she said. Observation first, then action. Your species is capable of remarkable things when fear does not dominate thought. Together, they monitored the vessel, analyzing its trajectory, energy signatures, and possible intentions. It was neither hostile nor immediately communicative, and Jace felt a mix of excitement and tension. He realized that every skill he had learned with Liara would now be tested in the real world, not just in simulations. As the vessel approached, he felt a strange pride. He had come a long way from a lonely engineer tinkering in his quarters. Now he was a participant in events that could shape the station's and perhaps humanity's future in the galaxy. Liara's gaze softened. You are learning quickly. You are adaptable, resilient, and brave. These are traits humans underestimate in themselves. Remember this. Remember that cooperation, understanding, and trust can turn uncertainty into opportunity. Jace nodded, feeling the weight and excitement of her words. The day had started like any other, but it had ended with discovery, challenge, and growth. He realized that his quiet life had been preparing him for this moment all along. And as the alien vessel drew closer, Liara's presence remained a constant, a guide and a partner. Together they would face whatever came next, blending human ingenuity with Liara knowledge. The galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, but Jace no longer felt alone. For the first time, he felt ready. The alien vessel drifted into the station's sensor range like a shadow moving across the stars. Jace stood at the observation deck with Liara beside him, her amber eyes glowing softly as she studied the approaching ship. The vessel was unlike anything Jace had ever seen. Its surface shimmered, reflecting starlight in shifting patterns, and it moved with a grace that defied human engineering. "They are observing us," Liara said, her voice calm in his mind. "Do not assume hostility. But do not underestimate caution either. Every species acts in its own self-interest." Jace nodded, his hands gripping the railing. "What should we do? Observe first, prepare second, act only when necessary." For hours they monitored the ship, trying to discern its purpose. Its energy signatures were unique, unfamiliar, but not immediately threatening. Still, the tension in the station was palpable. Jace could feel it in the way the crew moved, quick but careful, glancing at the observation screens more often than usual. He realized that this moment was bigger than any simulation. This was real. Liara floated closer, her presence calming him. "Your species fears what it does not understand, but understanding comes from patience, observation, and courage. Do you have patience?" I will try," Jace said, his voice steadying. He had learned so much from her already, how to stay calm, how to analyze data without jumping to conclusions, how to act decisively when needed. The vessel finally stopped near the station, its surface flickering as if scanning the surroundings. Then a projection appeared, a holographic figure that mirrored their movements perfectly. Jace's heart raced. This was a first contact situation, and every decision could have consequences far beyond their understanding. Liara spoke, her voice clear in his mind. "This is your moment. Observe carefully, respond thoughtfully. Do not act from fear." Jace took a deep breath. "Hello," he said, unsure if the alien could hear his words, but knowing that communication had to start somewhere. The holographic figure mirrored his greeting, tilting its head in a gesture that seemed almost curious. Energy pulses spread across the projection, shifting in color and intensity. Jace realized that the alien species communicated not through words, but through light, movement, and energy patterns. He glanced at Liara. "Watch their signals," she instructed. "Patterns, repetition, emphasis. These are your words, you will respond with yours." Jace nodded, focusing intently. He began using the station's holographic interface to mimic the patterns he observed, adjusting the energy flows to create responses that reflected his intent, peaceful, curious, and respectful. Liara guided him silently, her presence helping him anticipate the alien reactions. Minutes passed like hours, but slowly the vessel responded in kind. Energy pulses shifted, synchronized with Jace's movements, creating a dialogue of light and motion. The station's crew watched in awe, unable to comprehend the complexity of the communication, but sensing the growing understanding between human and alien. "This is incredible," Jace whispered, still focused on the interaction. Liara's aura glowed warmly. "You are learning faster than expected. Humans adapt, and in adaptation there is power. You are showing diplomacy, patience, and intelligence, all qualities my people respect." The dialogue continued, each side testing boundaries, sharing information, and signaling intentions. Jace realized that this was more than first contact. It was the beginning of a partnership. Humanity was no longer isolated, and the decisions made in this room could shape alliances and futures across the stars. Suddenly, the alien vessel pulsed violently, sending a shockwave across the station. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and Jace felt the floor vibrate beneath his feet. "They are unsure," Liara said, her voice calm but alert. "Do not panic. Respond with clarity. Do not escalate fear." Jace acted quickly. Using the skills he had developed under Liara's guidance, he adjusted the station's energy fields, stabilizing the vibrations and creating a safe channel for communication. The vessel's pulses slowed and the holographic figure steadied, mirroring relief or acknowledgement. "You did well," Liara said softly. "Courage, clarity, and understanding, you prevented escalation. Your species has potential far beyond what they might believe." Jace exhaled, feeling a mixture of relief and exhilaration. He had faced a true interstellar challenge and with Liara's guidance had succeeded. He looked at her, realizing how much he had grown in such a short time. She was no longer just a visitor in his quarters. She was a teacher, a partner, and a friend. As the alien vessel slowly moved away, leaving a trail of shimmering light, Liara turned to him. "This is only the beginning. Humanity is now visible to others in ways you cannot yet imagine. Your actions here have set the tone for future interactions. You have shown that humans can be more than isolated, reactive beings. You can think, adapt, and collaborate." Jace nodded, feeling the weight of her words. I understand. I didn't expect any of this when I started my work here, but I'm ready to do more." Liara's amber eyes glowed brighter. "Good, that is the spirit that will carry your species forward. Knowledge, courage, and trust. These are the keys. Remember them." Over the following days, Jace and Liara worked tirelessly to repair minor damages caused by the alien vessel's energy pulses. They also began exploring deeper aspects of Liora technology. Jace marveled at how Liara could manipulate energy fields, restructure matter at microscopic levels, and simulate entire star systems with her holographic interface. He realized that humans had much to learn, but also that humans had strengths the Liora had never anticipated: creativity, improvisation, and resilience in the face of the unknown. One evening, as the station's sun set over Kelara, Jace and Liara sat on the bed once more. Holographic stars shimmered around them, creating a private galaxy of their own. "You have changed," Liara said quietly. "Not physically, but in perception. You see patterns, anticipate consequences, and act with calm under pressure. Humans underestimate their own capacity." "You have shown potential," Jace smiled faintly. "I've learned from the best teacher I could ever imagine. You've taught me so much, not just about alien systems, but about myself, about humans too." Liara inclined her head. "That is the purpose of our meeting. To learn, to teach, to form connections that surpass the ordinary. The galaxy is vast, full of unknowns, but together, human and Liora can face them with understanding, courage, and trust." Jace leaned back, looking at the swirling stars above. He realized how much his life had changed in just a few days. From a lonely engineer in a quiet station to someone involved in interstellar diplomacy and first contact scenarios. He felt a new sense of purpose, a feeling that his actions could matter not only to himself, but to the broader galaxy. Liara's presence remained a constant comfort. Though she was alien in every sense, her confidence and intelligence made him feel capable. Together, they had bridged a gap between species, proving that understanding and collaboration were possible. As night fell over Kelara, Jace thought about the future. There would be more challenges, more unknowns, and more situations that would test human courage and adaptability. But he felt ready. He had learned from Liara, and more importantly, he had learned to trust himself and the strengths of his species. Liara's final words echoed in his mind as he prepared to sleep. "Humanity is stronger than you realize, and you, Jace, are part of the bridge that will carry your people forward. Remember, courage and understanding are the most powerful tools in the galaxy." Jace closed his eyes, feeling a sense of peace and anticipation. The galaxy was vast and filled with unknown possibilities, but he no longer felt alone or powerless. With Liara's guidance and the lessons he had learned, he was ready to face whatever came next. Humanity's potential was just beginning to unfold, and he would be at the forefront, ready to explore, adapt, and thrive. As sleep took him, he dreamed not of fear, but of stars, of alliances, of challenges met with courage, and of a future where humans and Leora could walk together into the uncharted vastness of space. And somewhere in the quiet glow of the station, Liara watched, confident that the seed of understanding she had planted would grow into something far greater than either of them could yet imagine.